Recording in progress.
Good evening and welcome to the June 5th Ways and Means Committee meeting. Kelly, could you please call the roll?
Oh, sorry. Chairwoman Tice.
Here.
Alderwoman Goad. Here. Alderman Gould.
Here.
Alderman Erger.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda? Any opposition to approving it by acclamation? It will be so approved. Report of committee chair and aldermen. The only thing I'd like to note is just a reminder that we will not meet on July 3rd next month. We'll meet on Wednesday, July the 16th. Alderman Goad, do you have anything?
No updates. Thank you.
Alderman Gould?
No report.
And Alderman Erger?
No report.
Okay, that takes us to the city administrator's report and the audit, which is coming in before June 30th. So I think Andrew and Michelle are
Online. Yes, they are online.
Thank you both.
Andrew?
You're both muted if you can fix that. I don't know if you. Oh,
No. That's me.
Can you hear me?
yes, now we can.
Perfect. I see Andrew is available. I don't know that we hear him yet.
Can we see? We can't see you.
Correct.
Okay.
I have my camera off. I'm sitting in a hotel room in a conference room, so I'm like,
No, where? There's
Oh,
Andrew.
there's Andrew.
Oh,
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
we
Yes.
can hear you. Andrew, are you gonna?
Can you hear me okay?
We can, yes.
All right.
Are you going to lead us, Andrew,
I-
or Michelle?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my key. I can. Just so you guys know, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and I do not have very good internet connection. So if I cut out, please let me know, and I might cut off my camera if you guys have trouble hearing me. Okay.
So far, so
Please
good.
interrupt me if you guys. So far, so good. Okay. So I'm going to go through this pretty quick. I'll also be presenting, and I'll be there in person at the Board of Aldermen meeting in about 2 weeks. But the scope of our services is consistent with what it's always been. The one new piece that was added is we have a single audit. So you guys have 3 major programs that we audited. You guys spent more than $750,000 worth of federal money during the year. So we audited both the Highway Planning and Construction Grant, the American Recovery Plan Act dollars, the remaining money that was in that pot of funding, as well as the FEMA money. Okay, so we had 3 major programs that we've audited. This is pretty unique to the city because they typically don't receive money in excess of $750,000. The results of our audits are unmodified opinions. We did have one, what I'll say is a very minor finding on the single audit. Whenever you're receiving federal money, you got to make sure you go through what's called a suspension of debarment assessment. So you got to look at your vendors, just make sure they're not on the list that the federal government says that you can't work with these vendors. So for one of the contracts you had for the highway planning grant, you guys didn't do that analysis when you should have. So ultimately, the vendor was fine. There's no issues. You just have to go through this step before you formally award any projects that's funded through federal money. Some key items I want to make at least the committee aware of is that we're starting to see some good transition with some of the work that we have normally been doing to support the city of Brentwood. So you guys are now doing your own capital assets. You're doing your own debt service bank account reconciliations. And also during the year, there were several funds that were closed as a result of basically paying off the bonds that were tied to Brentwood Bound and to the Brentwood Eager Road funds. So one thing I want to mention from a financial highlights perspective is because of this federal money, you have about $1.8 million worth of money from FEMA that you're still expected to receive. The reason I highlight this is because you're seeing quite a large negative net income or loss or change in fund balance during the year. And a lot of that's largely due to the fact that you've incurred FEMA money and FEMA hasn't paid you back within 60 days of the end of the year, so that revenue is going to get deferred into 2025. The general fund, you guys are, some other financial highlights is that the general fund is about $9 million of fund balance, 22.9 million across all your governmental funds, and your net position is about 77 million. Some other items that I'm required to communicate is we have no significant uncorrected misstatements that are worth noting here. We do have something that we identify every year because you have amortization on bonds and you guys count for them on a straight line basis, but GAAP says to do it on effective interest rate. This is a very common uncorrected misstatement, but really overall, strong internal controls as it relates to making sure you're recording your cash receipts and all of your activity in the appropriate periods. No fraud or illegal activities, and overall, we have a great relationship with the management team. The one other item to note is that there was a new accounting standard during the year that was GASB 101 is related to compensated absences. And the adoption of that standard didn't have an impact on you guys because you were already accounting for things in line with the standard that was issued. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything you need me to elaborate on further.
Are there questions for Andrew? No, I'm not seeing any questions. It sounds like a good audit. Thank you for your work, and it's great to hear that we're taking a lot more things back in-house than we did a few years ago. So kudos to Michelle and team for that. And thank you for both coming to us from afar. Do we need a motion, Bola, to send this on?
I'll make that motion to send it on to the Board of Aldermen for approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Do we need a roll call or all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Appears the ayes have it. Thank you, Andrew and Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay, next, the proposed budget timeline process. There are some dates on in the agenda, and I think the team would like us to sort of confirm these a little sooner than we have in the past. I know that I am looking at, I'm probably going to be out of town on one of the dates. So I thought I could email Kelly the dates that I'm going to be gone, if that works. So I think I'm going to be gone on October the 14th and sort of around that week. Are others of you, do you know you'll be gone any of those dates?
Well, I just talked to Kelly, the Board of Aldermen meeting that's right after Labor Day, which right now is still on the calendar as on Labor Day on September 2nd, though I'll be out of town. So, but that doesn't seem to be a significant one.
Okay, right there.
Use your
Mike, turn on
microphone.
your mic.
I might have a tentative conflict on October 28th, but I can confirm that as things lock down.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I will make note of those.
Okay. Great, and if you know, like if you're going to be gone blocks of time, if you'll send Kelly those dates so that then she has something to work with for rescheduling these dates, that would probably make it easier for everyone. So, good. Thank you. Moving on to department reports. Michelle, are you going to take financial statements from afar?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to note a couple things on the audit. I know that he indicated in the single audit that he had the note about the unknown vendors and for the highway planning and control. And that's not sort of doing that due diligence. That due diligence not being done was because it was unknown. We will have a single audit for 2025 as well. So once again, he did say it was a minor finding. It doesn't escalate to anything, but as we know more, we do better. The other thing to note with the audit is that there are no management comments. I know he sort of noted some of the things in the certificates of participation and other things like that, but overall there are no management comments to review or to submit, which is also nice. Those internal things he sort of touched on are things that we internally will continue to discuss.
Great.
Moving on to the financial statements, you've got April in your packet. A couple of highlights. If you look at the sales tax, it seems slightly down by 5%, and the use tax is up by 21. But I would like to note on page 2 that in the insurance and other settlements, there is 415,000. When we closed the TIFs, they didn't finish that adjustment in that settlement for us in November or in 24 like we had hoped, and actually came in 25. So those are essentially still sales tax dollars that we have placed there because when they gave us our sales tax reports, they labeled them as adjustments. So until we get a clear audit opinion on whether or not we can actually account them as sales tax, we move them down there. But I would like to note once again that that 415,000 is part of the adjustment of the closeout of the TIFs that didn't hit the threshold to go back to 24. So in saying that, I don't have any real alarming items, I think, in revenue. I think everything's pretty much holding steady and things are where I would expect them to be. And the same with expenditures. Nothing is sort of rising or falling to anything that I think needs immediate attention. Do you guys have any questions?
Well, I'll start. I have one question about East Central Dispatch. That seems to be coming in higher than we had budgeted. Is that, Bola's turning on her mic, so.
So their fiscal year is July 1st through June. And so when the budget was adopted, I think the budget was, it will come in higher because their cost is going up. So it's a trend that we will continue to see. We try our best to gauge that we're putting in sufficient amount to cover the increase when they adopt their budget. We don't always get that exactly right. So it has always been the case over the history of the city participating with ECDC.
Right. And then I know it's probably more of a public safety committee issue. I mean, we look at, I just bring it up for the dollars, but I do know one neighboring city is potentially going to pull out, and are we?
One city has pulled out, the city of Rock Hill.
Rock Hill, but wasn't Webster looking at pulling out?
They are examining the conditions for another 6 months, starting in April.
Okay.
They were looking at pulling out, and they may still do so. I don't know for certain what their final decision will be. But yes, we have heard that.
Okay, well, from a budgeting perspective,
Right.
what does that do to the other remaining cities, and how's that going to impact us?
Well, the remaining cities are continuing to discuss this. We're looking at other options because we believe that there is a benefit. And I'm speaking as a city administrator and other city managers that are part of the group, not including Webster, would like to maintain ECDC as it is. So we continue to explore other cities that can possibly join if Webster were to leave.
Okay.
Because we have independently done analysis on what the true cost would be to go elsewhere, whether it's Central County, whether it's St. Louis County. And so the cost overall will be higher. However, what we are concerned with is that the level of service that our residents expect and that those who provide those services, police and fire, continue to be at a higher level.
Okay, great, thank you. That's my only question. Are there other questions from committee members about the financial statements?
I had a general knowledge question about. I'll get this, thanks. About fines, they're up 76%, it looks like. Is that just a random happening, or is there more active awareness of violations that we're just catching?
It's
or-
a more deliberate awareness of and ensuring that those who travel through our community are mindful of traffic laws.
Okay.
And so we're making certain that they don't go over the speed limit. And, we have heard a lot from residents that we're seeing speeding in residential areas. So we now have a dedicated traffic officer who is parked in areas where we get the most complaints, and we are engaging those who drive those areas to slow down.
Thank you.
If I may. And to that point, I've gotten good feedback from the Brentwood Forest folks regarding the cracking down on speeding violations and stop sign running too. So
Working. Thank
Agree.
you.
Anyway, I'm getting compliments as well.
I will also note that it's not always people that are just driving through our town. It's people who live in.
Yes.
In fact, the majority of it is. So,
And a lot of them are rushing to get to school in the mornings. Any other questions on the financial statements for Michelle or anyone else? Okay, thank you, Michelle. Now we have the investment report, and Brad, you're a little longer into the meeting than normal, but
No
welcome.
problem. No problem. Good evening. All right, I am hopeful that, well, I got it to Kelly a little bit late today, but I'm sure she was able to get it into your packet. I've got a 2-page document to go over with you all. You've seen it a number of times before. So the first page is broken up into 3 parts, as you've seen. At the very bottom, you have total earnings from when we first started our relationship back in 2018 until the beginning of 2024. And you see those earnings, those will always stay the same. I just report on that same number every month, $2.7 million of interest earnings on all those accounts listed on the left. Then in 2024, some of the accounts were reduced because the bond reserve funds or project funds were no longer outstanding. So you see in 2024, total interest earnings were $728,000. And then what you're probably most concerned about is interest earnings for this year. So you see so far this year, through the end of May, we're at $308,000 in 4 accounts: the 2017, 18, and 19 bond debt service reserve funds and the general fund. If we total all that, it is just under $3.8 million. Then on the next page, I just kind of like to show you a bar chart of what the interest looks like on a monthly basis. So those total earnings of $308,000 are broken up approximately as follows each of the months. So we're averaging roughly $61,000 a month in interest earnings. We have securities laddered out almost every single month for the next 24 months. And that is roughly $454,000 on average that is maturing every month. This month we have 2 securities maturing, June 17th and June 30th, for about $940,000. So it's a little heavier month that we have this month as far as maturities go. So I'll be reaching out to Michelle and Bola to talk about anticipated need if you all may have some expenditure needs coming up on the horizon, or reinvestment options that you all have. So we'll be discussing that and get that money put back to work. I think that's all I've got for you, unless you all have some questions.
Any questions for Brad? It's always nice to hear your reports, and it is remarkable how much money, it looks like we started this in 2018, is that right?
Right.
So it's just amazing how the revenue that's come in that time and what we've been able to do with that extra money.
Absolutely. You guys have been good stewards with this money. And we've gone through the storm of COVID with very low interest rates. So with all that being said, the interest earnings have been wonderful over that time period. So we'll keep on keeping on.
Great. Thanks, Brad. See you next month.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
You too. Moving on to human resources and health, dental and vision insurance premiums. Hi, Tangela.
Hi, good afternoon. Tangela, HR. So hopefully everyone has had a chance to review the memo and the rates that we have before us. The major takeaways are the increases in the medical with the 6% and the vision with 3.7%. Across the board, everything else is staying the same, including dental, which we were anticipating an increase, but it did not. So after reviewing those numbers, are there any questions regarding the rates, the changes? Okay, so I think, Bola, we need a motion to pass that premium along for the dependents.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Thank you.
Appears the ayes have it. Thank you. The next is the cyber insurance renewal. Is that you as well, Tangela? Or no, it's Bola,
It's-
sorry.
it's me. So every year, the city does insurance renewal, and the two that we're bringing to your attention today is the cyber insurance renewal. In board docs, we indicate that we're seeing an increase of about $650 or 2.39% increase from the current year, and this becomes effective July 1, 2025. We continue to go back and review the analysis that was done by Charlesworth Consulting just to make sure that we're staying current with some of the recommendations. I was going to include that in board docs for you, Sully and Michelle, and I will do that after this meeting so you can reference it. But the recommendation is to do the renewal at a cost of $26,570.
Is there a motion to renew the cyber insurance at a cost of $26,570?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
all right.
Aye.
Aye. Seems the ayes have it.
The second one is the annual public officials and employment practices liability insurance renewal. The renewal of $4 million per claim aggregated a cost of $48,036. We're also seeing a slight increase, scrolling down, in that one as well, from about $45,000 to $48,036. Recommendation is for renewal on that as well.
Is there a motion for renewal of the of the public officials?
So moved.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Alderman Gould, do you have?
No, I don't. No.
Oh, wait. All in favor?
All right,
Aye. Sounds like all four of us are ayes, so ayes have it. Moving on to the consent agenda. There's one item on the consent agenda, the meeting minutes from May 7th. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes?
motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Is there a second? All in favor?
All right,
Aye. Sounds like four ayes. Moving on to old business, the tuition rate increase. Tangela?
Right. So I know we presented and discussed the tuition reimbursement at the prior meeting. Following that, we did get information that the rates were going up for the different colleges at that 5%, and UMSL was one of them. So this particular information is just to make everyone aware that the rates did increase, should it be a conversation going forward as we continue to increase and improve our benefits.
Thoughts from the group?
Okay.
so
Really asking for an action today. We're just bringing this to your information. And I made an update to board docs prior to the meeting, so if you refreshed, there is a spreadsheet in there that shows what the cost would be to our employees who take advantage of the tuition reimbursement. How much of that $3,500 would go towards an hour credit, 3 hours credit, 6 hours credit, 9 hours credit. And so as you take more classes, you can see that there's a gap between what the tuition reimbursement would cover. If you're the type that takes 9 hours, certainly you're going to have to make up that difference. But if you take 6 hours, whether it's an undergraduate level or I think there will still be some out-of-pocket expense for you as an employee. So we just wanted to pass along that information because I think in the prior discussion, we wanted to increase it. The motion was to increase it so that employees could take more than just 3 hours. But with the tuition going up, that might continue to be a struggle for those who take advantage of the program.
Alderman Gould?
and typically, though, 12 hours is a full-time student, right? What do we see people who have participated in this? Are they taking one or two classes at a time, or what?
I transparently don't have enough information on the prior takings or just utilization of that by employee to answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Lola, do you have a sense for that?
I know, so in the fire department, could you speak to it? Please, Chief Bernie.
Good evening. Historically, since I've been with the city for 4 years now, we've never had more than 2 employees
Participate.
participating at one time. Most of our employees go through Columbia Southern, which is an accredited university through the National Fire Academy, and they get a scholarship because they're in the fire service program. It's usually 1 class per semester.
Okay.
And from what I've been told, that's what covers the tuition, and then they usually buy the books themselves.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think when we originally made the motion and we were seeing the increases and feeling like even just to take 1 course was problematic. I think as we look to increase, it's reasonable to make sure that it covers at least a course within a range. I don't know that we need to get into setting it at such a high level that they can take 2 or 3 courses, because, you know, then I'm not sure people would have the capacity to do that and do their job. So, I mean, I'm generally think the recommendation to increase is a reasonable one. But when are you looking to have any,
No, we're just presenting
this is just for the
it-
budget
This is, yes,
discussion?
as we get into the budget season, something for you all to think about, given the information that we present here. And we can go back and do a little bit more research to find out whether people really do take more than 1 hour, 3 hours a semester. I do know that we have an individual who's taken a graduate level class. And so but of course, the university where this individual is taking these classes from, they also offer discount if you are in a certain profession. And so there's added discount there. And so maybe Tangela and I kind of do a little more research, but this evening, we're not really asking you for any kind of action. This is just information sharing.
Thank you.
and just as a clarification, this benefit applies as long as the courses are related to their field, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
right, okay.
So I'll just add, like, I'm a really big proponent of this, but like right now, if we're using UMSL, which is a public university, the amount of tuition reimbursement we have covers 6 hours in arts and sciences and business. And I don't know if we have people in engineering doing that, but it doesn't quite cover that. But it does seem to cover, you know, if somebody took a spring and a fall class, then the amount that we have budgeted seems to cover that. So if you could bring us back information about the utilization, then that would probably be really helpful. But if not, this might be something that we look at the next time we collectively look at benefits and do this sort of as a broad look at all our benefits.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. There doesn't appear to be any new business. Now we're to the citizen comments. There do not seem to be any citizens in the room. Is there anyone online?
No one with their hand raised.
Okay, great. Well, being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.